Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Mbalamusizza mwenna bannange abakatuuka. Manyi obudde bugenze buli wala nnyo naye katutambule nga bwe tunaba tutambudde. Bwe kyoba okola kiri kimu nti vidiyo gisaasaanye gisharinge olabe nti bano bajja gisanga gy'oli. I don't need notifications for Echoto Reloaded, as most of our people are still stuck on Echoto International, which is now being used by the junta and his goons. Olwaleero nzize kusomesa naye nno nga ngenda kusomesa ate nga okusomesa kwange kugenda kuba kwanukula statement gye nalabye etambula. I don't know oba nammwe mwagirabyeko. The statement was made by the spokesperson of the UPDF, that Madam Ramita Biekwas, I think that is the name. It was a statement she read, and there is a quotation where my emphasis will lie most. That quotation is from the new assistant IGP. Is it Bamaita Rokechi? Whatever the name is, nainga amanya gaabwe. Sibamanyi nnyo abamu amanya kuba sitwala nnyo budde kumanya bantu ba gavumenti egudde. But I will tell you, when ndaba position gya holding and ebyayogedde, I'll come and next on that. When she was reading the statement, she said, the statement was saying, akantu akasinza okunkwatako, nti we, the opposition, as they call us, and their major focus was on our principal, the president-elect, Mr. Kyagulanyi Ssentamu Robert. We make statements. They say that we make statements or do actions that paint Uganda. It's called Okechi. Oh, thank you very much. That we do things that paint Uganda image, and a lot was said about that. So that is where I get my topic today of discussion. Trying to see who is painting Uganda a bad image on the international scene. We have a problem here. There are some people that are so fast in complaining and accusing, thinking that since in our culture, especially the Baganda and Africans as well, we always have a tendency that the first one to go to seek for justice is always right. Yet, for criminals or people with a criminal mind, they will know how to go about the justice system. And at times, you'll find them going for justice before the victims themselves. A very typical trick that even thieves or pickpockets and the snitches use in the suburbs of Kampala. You'll find someone snatching your property, picking pocket, and they'll shout for help. The thief himself will shout for help. Actually, this is what happens right now when you find our security agencies coming out and claim that it is us that are trying to paint Uganda a bad image internationally. They say that the picture we try to paint is scaring off tourists. Then the dilemma comes in that if you fail to address the real problem, you keep on denying to face the fact, you will find yourself not getting a better solution for a problem. Yagadde nnyo tutunuulire ebintu by'omukyalo ono bye yayogedde nti oli Okechi yabiwandiise. Statement yake abadde mpanvu naye nze omanyi bwe mbasangabo nti ntunula kyempuliddeko kwekingamu nenjagala okuwako ekyo, because ebintu byabwe ensobi ziba nnyingi nnyo nga w'onoowuliriza byonna byayogedde oyinza okwogerera olunaku lulamba nga tomazeeyo, so opikingamu kekimu n'oyagala okumuwa essomo. So this time round nze ensomesa yange ebeera objective ebiseera ebisinga, seekubira nnyo ku kyakuba nti ndi wa people power nti oba ndi muntu alwanirira enkyukakyuka nti I always speak for my side alone. This time round I'm speaking for the country because twagala tetwagala ekifaananyi kyaffe ng'eggwanga kifa ku international scene. Kati ffenna bwe tunaagenda mu maaso n'okwebalama okutekinga responsibility, tugenda kufuna mulamwa mutuufu era tetujja kulongoosa kifaananyi kyaffe, buli omu ng'ayagala kunoonya weeyeegaanira. Tweggyemu endowooza yaffe gye tusinga okuba nayo ewaka egamba nti asooka okuwaaba, asooka embuga y'abeera omutuufu. That is wrong, because ekyo kyatukuliramu mu culture. Abakozi b'emisango n'ababbi n'abaki abakyamu bonna ne bakikwata nti nze nja kwanguwa okwetaasa. Kasita nze nva nga nze nvuddemu ekigambo nja kwanguwa okwetaasa, kasita ofuna go blaming, abantu bateeke blame ku oli. Ate ekyo kyekirina nti tojja kujjanjaba kizibu, ogenda kubeera otunuulire wava kizibu ng'olowooza wojjanjaba kumbe ebintu tebiwona. Kati omukyalo ono ne munne omwami gwe baakalonda oyo omusirikale mu poliisi bwe bavaayo ne bawandiika statement ng'eyo ne bagamba nti ffe tusiiga ekifaananyi kikyamu olw'okuba ebintu bye twogera. Ekituufu kiri bwe kiti mu mateeka, bwe mba nga kyenjogera nga kikyamu, nga kyenjogedde kikyamu, then amateeka gasobola bulungi okunnamula. Just gather the evidence nti Jaffa on such and such a date wakola statement bwet eyali enkyamu nga terina we yali ebadde, tetugikolangako, tetugyogerangako, then gwe n'ogiteeka ku mutimbagano ng'ekigendererwa kyo kyakusiiga kifaananyi kibi ekya Uganda, then oba mutuufu okunvunaana. But if I come out nenzija nenkugamba nti kino okoze bwoti ne bwoti, nenziramu ebigambo bye wayogedde to amplify your actions and hope to sensitize the people and at least get that information oba oliawo gye bandibadde bamiisinga, then nze siba mukyamu. Kyova olaba when we talk about things that our government is doing, they are saying we are trying to incite the people. Mbutukuma mu bantu omuliro. Naye ng'ate kyetwogeddeko kye baba bakoze. A good example would be when we talk about an issue like, say, tribalism being practiced in our country or nepotism, we've got live examples. That when someone tells you that heads of all departments are coming from one region, that is a fact, because someone will name them and you see that they are all coming from the same region. That is what one will call tribalism. No offense if someone highlights that. Ekyo kyekizibu kye tusanga nga ffe bannansi nti oli akola ekintu ate gw'okukyogera n'agamba gwe mukyamu. a man came out, Ereru. He managed to subdue people in Renzuru, then later on executed them. Because the evidence could show, forensic evidence could show that clearly. Because you cannot hide dead bodies with hands cuffed from behind and you say that those were fighters and you shot them as they were fighting. The mere fact that their hands were cuffed from behind shows that they were subdued before they were executed. So that one becomes an execution by a person who turned himself into this, the jury, the judge, and the executioner. Then it ceases to be a fight, but rather a massacre. So if we talk about it, you cannot say that we are inciting the public or we are trying to paint Uganda a bad image. Even the man who was responsible for the actions came out and bragged, saying that ever since he started his career, that was his most, that was the funniest action he did. He enjoyed it. He murdered these people with fun. He had no remorse at all, as he was saying that. And his commander-in-chief was very pleased with the work. He was rewarded by promotion in ranks. And again, a deployment that followed. These are issues that you people think, because you are used to a society that you are ruling, a society that could not hold you accountable based from the former governments where information could not move as easily as it is right now. We would like to call upon these people to wake up from that dream. It is really a bad dream for them to think that we shall think the same way our parents used to. Especially now that we're here in the digital migration, where information is ready, is always available. Whenever you feel like getting information, it's a tip away. It is right on our fingertips. Gadgets are everywhere. With the internet, you can access anything, anytime. So the perpetrators of such actions should think twice before doing them, or else be ready to bear the repercussions, other than playing a blame game, thinking that they'll go away with these wrongdoings. In the statement, they say we're scaring away foreigners from coming to Uganda, especially tourists. But if I could tell the people the reasons as to why the so-called intended, the would-be tourists, the reasons that are sending these people off, and these reasons are entirely made by the government and the agencies, especially security agencies. And they're responsible for painting Uganda a bad image. All they can say that people like us who come out and analyze, or those who come out and post such issues, are just amplifying what has been done. Because if you don't do it, I'll have nothing to tell the public. I'll have nothing to post. But instead of fighting ways of stopping such acts, they are trying to silence the general public. And in so doing, the action that only that action of trying to silence us scares off the tourists more than even the actions themselves. Gwe wongamba ndi nze okwogera ku kyokola ekikyamu ate ne mubikola, because when they come out to do such things, they will come out with statements in English, trying to deny something that is factual. You deny a fact that has even video evidence, and you try to deny it in English to make sure that you try to paint the picture, the good picture you think you can for the country. Yet your actions are doing opposite. Toyinza kumala kutta abantu ku kkubo, ku street, kipeekalakaasizza ne mubulamu omuntu n'omu avaayo okugamba nti bannange ekintu kino omugezi yandibadde akikola bw'ati ne bw'ati okukyebalama. A good example could be last year, 18th and 19th November, the cold blood murdering of Ugandans that went in hundreds was witnessed internationally. By uniformed soldiers and police, together with non-uniform armed men and women. Singa omuntu otegeera abantu abazungu bano bemutya, bemwagamba nti bemutya, bemwagala okufaako ennyo okulaga ekifaananyi ekirungi nga kikulemye okukola ku bantu bo, kintu kibatiisanga kuba nga abantu abatambadde byambalo by'onoogamba nti kino kyambalo kya poliisi ngenda kuvunaana institution eno, kino kyamagye ngenda kuvunaana institution eno, be bakaalakaala n'emmundu. Ekyo kyokka ekifaananyi kyemulaga, ekifaananyi kyemulaga nti bwe tutunuulira butunuulizi atayaza abantu ze bambadde. Waliwo ekifaananyi kiraga omusajja ayambadde ka t-shirt ka sleeveless kalimu red ne black, ayambadde empale, ayambadde ne siripa, nga ne bwogeraageranya kugamba just nga oli akugambye omugeraageranyeemukko. There was one eyali ayambadde suuti, omuntu ayinza okugamba oba asobola okuaffordingira essuuti oba ayinza okuba n'obuvunaanyizibwa. Osobola omubala okuba n'obuvunaanyizibwa before he discharges the gun. Naye bw'amala okudischarging eggani n'emmundu ye n'engeri gy'ogiraba gy'agidischargingamu ng'agitunuza mu bantu aimless, ng'akuba concern, olwo ng'ogamba okay, ebadde essuuti busuuti naye omuntu talina buvunaanyizibwa. Naye gwe n'oddira omusajja ayambadde siripa, ayambadde t-shirt ekinene nnyo, akatissaati ke ekinene nnyo kayinza okuba nga kalinga ku 7 ate Uganda oba 15 oba 13, n'ekiwala ekyayambadde nakyo tekisobola kusukka 15, kati ne siripa z'ayambadde ziri ku 13, ng'omusajja yenna nga bw'omulaba ekitonoto ekinene nnyo ky'oyinza omugeraageranya azira emirwalo gya Uganda egitambuka waggulu w'ebiri, wabula omukwasizza emmundu nga kyonna yenna nga bw'ali ekyebbeeyi ekimuliko mmundu kyekyo akaalakaala naye mu kibuga. akubye ne ku bantu babalaba nga bakubye abantu bantu bagudde emirambo ne bwe munaajeegana naye bagudde omuntu ne bw'aba ng'afudde omu ne bw'oba tokubye kutta naye ng'oyinja alinze omuntu omu it becomes a serious issue. Ekitegeeza ekifaananyi kino mwe mugamba nti aba people power ffe tukibasiigidde mwe mukisiiga with your actions. Your actions ze zisiiga ekifaananyi ekikyamu kye mutaagala kulaga nsi yonna. Ekyo kyekintu kye muba mutandika okutunulako. Toyinza kuddira magye ogayina amagye bungi as you say, ogeekakasa ge gasinga amaanyi as you say, gayina n'obusobozi obusobola okuvaawo ne gagenda gakuuma ebweru, gonna ogagyeyo ogaleese n'oyongerako ne bacriminals abatambadde ebyambalo, then ne bakola bye bakoze bamaze okutta bwe batuuka okuba kubanga batandika okuba babuuza nga poliisi egamba si baffe, amagye gagamba si baffe. Ku mulembe gwa Kayihura that was the case. Amagye gagamba si baffe, poliisi egamba si baffe. Kati ku mulundi guno muve mukkiriza that you cannot produce them. Poliisi ereeta, ISO n'ereeta, JAT n'ereeta, era yonna ebitongole byenkugamba buli kimu kisobola kireetayo abantu abatambadde ebyambalo naye nga bakutte emmundu, ate be basinga okutta abantu. Ekintu ekyo mukirowoozeeko mwennyini gw'osuubira with those images out. Mulambuzi ki? Kuba omuntu wautira okugamba nti asobola okuva ewaabwe ajja alambule. Nze nkusigira kifaananyi, oyinza okuba tonabeerako mu society z'abantu abo. Abantu abasobola okujja okulambula ng'ojja katono era ku 10 oyinza okusangako kitundu kya muntu. Osobola kusangako kitundu kya muntu asobola okujja ng'okujja kwe okulambula basponsoring. But these are people ababa bakoze ssente zaabwe ne bazitereka n'agamba njagala neesanyuseemukko ng'enda ndabe ne ku mawanga amalala. Kitegeeza obulamu bwabwe babuwa value y'amaanyi nnyo era kijja kumwetaagisa okutwala obudde ng'atebera. Era ndowooza kyova olaba abagezaako okukola PR ya Uganda mulwana nnyo nti mmwe ku Google mugezaako okussaayo ebintu eby'enjawulo. However, tebijja kusobola kucounteractinga bino bye tuteekawo kuba ebisinga okuba ebikulu. People will try their best to see what is the security of a place that I want to go and tour. Katoyinza kulembeza kutta bantu mu nzita ya jjenjeero ate n'osuubira nti kijja kwawukanako. Then ne mu making matters worse by making reckless statements that are made by very important people in the government, right from the president. There are many reckless statements that Museveni is making, especially those concerning the international community. Baseless accusations, the way he handles issues, especially those that involve security agencies abusing human rights, including murdering of innocent people. The statements are reckless. At least try to get some disclaimers other than coming out and confirm, brag as if you're untouchable. Then you think someone else is supposed to come out and paint that an attractive color. Toyinza kumala kutta abantu nga president novaayo go nyini ogamba olina intelligence. You call yourself intelligent because in a certain interview you said you are so much wise that there are not many things that you don't know in the country, in the world. But these are some of the simple things that you fail out to analyze before you talk. You cannot tell people that you're so wise when such an issue comes up to come up and say they had, those riots were organized. Akagamba organized. No kateka. Someone will say, how can someone organize something that he has not planned when it will start and what to start it? Because if you say that the riots were organized, they were planned and organized, then someone will come and look at the cause of the riots. If we want to hold responsible the person or a group that might have organized riots, we shall look at the cause, because that is where the riots begin from. And we'll say, what was the cause of the riots? Had the presidential candidate was arrested. Then the arrest of the presidential candidate was a spark of riots. That means that whoever arrested the presidential candidate is responsible for organizing these riots. Then followed by, I think, the most amateur stage managed riots I've ever seen. The scenes that they picked interest in. You look at a scene where a boy attacked a police lady with a hammer. There and then, when the lady was coming and the boy was coming, the camera was ready, taking the photo, the video evidence. And immediately after that, then that footage disappears, meaning it was targeted for display. And another one was where they are telling ladies to remove yellow t-shirts. And another one, soliciting money from other people. The funny bit was, when we tried to look at the people who were lighting fire in the road, the police was just bypassing them and going after other people, leaving these ones to set up the fire. Then the president comes out and says that riots were organized. It will point us back to the organizers who are responsible for such actions. To make matters worse, sympathizers of the government were seen with a boy that had struck the police officer a day after, taking interviews on state television. Then later on, jubilating that he has crossed over from people power to national resistance movement. Like fools. And I don't know how the person recruiting for the government picks up people to recruit. Because even if it was a plot, things that followed and people that played their part were all amateurs. They don't know how to act. So if you display such things, Madame Piekwaso, there are people who are independent in thoughts and they'll come out and analyze these issues. Hence, the conclusions paint the real picture. It will only leave us in denial that we want to portray something else, yet we're doing otherwise. Kati gwe kyokaalira nga bino bye bikolwa byammwe kirala. Olaba pulezidenti atuuka okuva mu statement nti omwana gwe baakubye essasi tujja kulaba obanga maama we yabadde teyeekalakaasa bw'anaaba yabadde mu beekalakaasa. Can you really say that, a president? Olowooza kisoboka for anyone to take in just like that? Eyasinga okumala eggobero libya was a statement from the Minister of Defense to come out in good English and say that the police has the right to shoot and kill. Which right is that? If they think that you've reached an extent of scaring them because they are the ones to pass the judgment, when they feel scared, to what extent? So that they discharge their guns, their weapons, aimed at killing people, not even injuring, not even disabling, but killing. Shoot to kill. It is these statements that are scaring off responsible tourists. The responsible ones will fear that. One, the reckless actions by the security agencies, failure to control the use of the gun when you deploy the armed people without uniform that can be easily denied by all institutions, yet actions were done in front of those putting on uniform. There is no responsible tourist that would prefer coming to a country where you can't control the use of your guns. So as you're crying for the image, the bad image painted, think about the way the guns flood the streets of Kampala and other places in Uganda. I can bet you, we walk around cities like in the country I reside in here. You might not find a soldier carrying a gun, not even a pistol. A soldier. And actually, I've never seen any besides those ones we see on TV. But on the streets, you can't find anyone carrying that gun. But we've lived for 35 years in a state of emergency. It's as if we are preparing ourselves for a war every day in our own country. If you go out and check all the junctions in Kampala, you'll find quota guards there. You'll find armored cars, soldiers flooding all the roundabouts, those pavements and the reservoirs are filled by soldiers. They are like detachments for the army. That is a bad image. It is an image that portrays insecurity in the country. And where there is insecurity, everyone will fear for their lives. So before you come out and condemn other people, think about your actions. If you don't work upon that overflooding of guns and people holding guns in the streets of Kampala, don't cry for a good image, please. And it is not us that are talking about it that are putting the image. We are just trying to tell you that this is wrong and this is what you're portraying. So for you to come out with a statement saying that we are the ones portraying a bad image, you're just living in denial. You're trying to deny the fact. Mudeyo mulowooze teriyo mundu gyetambula nga abantu bakalakala nazo bwe batyo nolowooza nti abantu abalambuzi banaakulaba ne basuubira nti eggwanga lirimu emirembe. Eggwanga mu mulitadde ku bunkenke. Abantu baatya ku 14 January ne balonda ne basalawo kirala. Akalulu ne mukajjuza emivuyo. Olwaleero vidiyo z'olaba zifulaadinze social media sinzanye. Those were not acted movies, but there were videos taken from real time, real events as they unfolded during the election process. Kati eyo uncertainty gye tulimu yereetera abantu okutya. Era abantu nga bali mweyo embeera nti omusajja baalonze abantu ne bamwegobako n'asalawo abbe bubbi bululu mu nziba ey'ekibadulo. Era toyinza kuba na mirembe. And that is it. Look at the denial, the rejection of the international community to recognize Museveni's triumph. That is a statement, a very big statement. And I think it is what is preparing you to come out and make statements that try to think twice. What you're doing is wrong. If you want to see a good image, start doing things that portray that. If Museveni wanted a good image for Uganda internationally, this time around, like any freedom fighter you would have considered. He has played that game for so long that people have come out to show him that he has overstayed his welcome. And if you don't respect that, don't expect anything different, mind. Don't. So, the people you want to impress are not fools like how you think your society is. Because in Uganda we have people that can easily be conned. But these people, with all that evidence, you're wasting time. They will look at you and laugh at you. And that is why people doubt our hierarchy in everything, our excellence in everything, in every sphere. Look at how these professionals act. The land sellers with their professions. Look at your ranks. You generous for heaven's sake. But your actions in other professional armies are not even expected from private soldiers. You're generous. But your actions are not even worth being done by junior officers or even private. I'm not just disrespecting you, but I'm trying to put some insight on that. That you keep on embarrassing us to an extent that people even try to disrespect us just because they see our leaders portraying rather an image of ignorance. So before you wake up and say, your piece, think about your actions and their impact. I think that will work better for us if we want to see Uganda being recognized as a country worthy recognition on the international scene. Tetugaana abasirikale gye bali babeerayo abatambala uniform bo babayina investigators detectives tebambala uniform but again era mu butambala uniform era emirimu gyabwe ekitabambaza uniform kwe kukola emirimu ng'egy'obukesi ng'omuntu taabategeere mangu ate waffe ne kigaana kubanga naanajjanga mbega abula kujja nga akyewandiiseeko mu kifuba like nga bwe mpandiise people power cause wenzijera wonna engera mu t-shirt otegereyawo nti owa people power nene bambega baffe bwe batyo bwe bali almost babula kujja na kigambo nze ndi mbega ng'akyetimbye mu maaso mu kifuba. The professionalism is nowhere to be seen. Mutunuulire ebikolwa bye mukola right now. Oyagala okusiga ekifaananyi ekirungi mu ggwanga naye njagala otunuulire the way you failed to address the kidnapping of people. You kidnap, others are found dead, others do not even resurface at all. Remember, amongst the things that you mentioned, Museveni mentioned as he was going to the bush to justify his war against Obote's regime, he mentioned the disappearance of the people by the security agencies. And it is what is happening right now. Funny enough, you're so scared of the youth that they are the majority of the people that are being kidnapped. Majority of the youth. And I hereby call upon all women in Uganda that you're the mothers of the country. Think twice, because if it is happening to someone's son, someone's daughter, you should know that as a mother, it is the same fate that is awaiting your children. And if you don't raise your voices now, you will be so weak when it comes to your home. Raise your voices now as it is attacking or it is threatening the freedom and security of your neighbors before it comes to you. Bamama b'eggwanga bannayuganda abakyala, musitule amaloboozi gammwe temwekkiriiranya. Kino kye mulaba ekitwala abaana ate mmwe bannakazadde b'eggwanga bwe kiba kitutte omwana wa munno n'okiwulira tolinda kukwata ku wuwo, kubanga n'owuwo talina immunity, tebakulimba. Kino bakiyita ekirya atabaala, kikirya n'asigadde eka, naawe kijja kunona nange aleekaana kintwala, naawe asirise kisobola okutwala. Waliwo enjogera gye bagamba nti bwe baali batwala Abalooma nze saani kuba saali Mulooma. Bwe badde okunoona Abayudaaya saayogera kuba saali Muyudaaya, naye bwe baali bantwala tewaali wannwanirira. Tolinda ekyo kukutuukako. kino kyekiseera ebintu nga bino tubirwanyise. Omukyala simanya kyali oyo yani omukyala yabadde ayogerera amagye byekwaso, mukyala byekwaso Okechigwe yawandiise. Please, it is these actions that are scaring off the tourists. If you start kidnapping people, yet the president is saying that it is the international community, the foreigners are the ones behind the people. That scares off people, because mistaken identity, you might end up kidnapping another person who has come for a genuine tour. And this scares off people. People are getting scared by your actions, not our words. Because all we can say is talk. We can do talk. And you're doing, we talk and you're doing what we are talking about. We only come out to show you that you're the people responsible for painting Uganda a bad image internationally. Kubanga nze Jeffa ne bwe naayogera bitono bye njogera nga bigenda kukola e Uganda. Bitono bye njogera nga bijja kukola. Naye ate Museveni bw'ayogera ayogera kikola. Gw'ofulumiza ba militia otendesa abasirikale. How do you go and train people for 3 weeks n'obawa emmundu n'obasindika mu bantu? Olina kituleese nga mubambaza mubatikkira. We have an order shoot to kill. Ne bw'onooba oli waffe tujja kukukuba. Then they come out and shoot with that order. Onoonenya ani? Ogenda banenya ki? Nga all you've trained them is to shoot. Era waliwo ka video akamu akatambula akaali katambula emabegaawo ng'omusirikale yakuba mu bantu tiyagasi n'akuba n'essasi. Mukama waabwe owa polisi najja n'amubuuza, naye yabuuza mu Luswayiri, sasi siraniya nini? N'amubuuza ng'amubuuza lwaki mukubya amasasi. Omusirikale yamubuuza, sasa hii siraniya nini? Nti eno emmundu yaki? Mbadde omulimu gwayo gwa kuba masasi. Kubanga ekyo kye yatendekebwa, emmundu mwagimutendeka ne mugimuwa wa kibogwe tabugumye ebbanga liwera, era n'omugamba nti gwe bw'olaba awakanya pulezidenti kuba. Ekyo kye kizibu kye tulina, and it is affecting all African dictators. That is why I always tell you that this revolution is not only aiming at liberating Uganda, but at least we shall make sure that the statement is taken and understood by all African countries. All Africans must embrace it. Watch. Because everywhere you find a dictator, you'll find them using militias. They have militia groups. Those that come out and do whatever they want, that the government wants them to do for them. Things that the uniformed soldiers will not do for fearing of being held accountable. They will use these militias. Look at us. We have the LDUs. That is a militia group. Half-baked militia groups, all taught how to hold a gun and shoot. Then we've got SPCs. You saw them even claiming for their salary payment, not even facilitation during their activities. You train them how to use a gun, then you throw them back without pay. Look at the LDs. Ever since they were passed out, how many have you seen that are being paid? They're not on a payroll, not in the army or in the police. Then you complain about the rampant robberies by the gang, the murders, even the kidnaps. You might find that not all kidnaps are by the government. Because we've got very many groups that are now armed. people might start taking advantage of that. If someone maliciously wants to attack you, he will pay them some money, they will come. It's just a matter of getting a drone, and some drones are being stolen from people. Apparently, the most stolen vehicle now in Uganda is a drone. Uganda and Kenya and Tanzania. Because they know it is just a mere implication of what the security agencies are doing. And since there are many militia groups now, everyone will see the other and thinking, it is a legitimate militia group. Everyone is just answerable to his warlord. That is why they cannot come out and give us an accountability of those people that are being kidnapped by the drones. If you have very many people handling guns, unlawfully arresting, the security agencies are unlawfully arresting people, of course, other people can also take advantage of that weakness. So with that in place, you cannot come out and complain about a bad image. You can't. You simply can't. Abusing the court orders, prompted up charges against people that are fakely planted. You have all the time and all the resources, then you fail to plant something, you fail to hook up a charge that would be bought by anyone, but you just come up with a fake charge that even a kid, a primary 4 kid, can argue out. You people are the ones painting us a bad image, and that is what scares off the would-be tourists to Uganda. If you had a German national that died in prison, I think 2 years ago, a man that was arrested, charges put against him, his property stolen by the government officials, the police officials, then later on dies in prison. Who is painting that image? Because that one, the international community at least takes interest in such issues. He was a German national. Didn't you know that he had a family? Didn't you know that people could pick interest in such issues? We've got cases. How many foreigners were killed by that man in prison? Akena, the one who claimed that he's in prison. I think it was Akena, something like that. Arinaitre, sorry, not Akena, Arinaitre. All those issues are still there. We've got debts that do not even have accountability. The story of Chibwetele is also popular. Even up to now, there are people still making fallouts. It is only our government that is putting these files to rest. But other parties, when they pick interest, the road is spread alert and everything is active. Until the investigation is done thoroughly and the truth is extracted from it. So before you come out and complain, think about your actions. You cannot continue abusing human rights and expect to attract tourists. in a country where human rights are at stake, as our country appears to be right now, believe me, you stand high chances getting off you would be twice. And the more you display that higher authority above the law, still no serious people will risk their lives to come to Uganda. You need to check your actions and think twice before you make statements. Because if you hold higher positions in office and government, all your statements are never taken for granted. It is only you that will take the society for granted. Whatever you say has a very serious impact on the image of Uganda. You cannot kill people, then you come out and brag and expect other people to just take it from. Because we know, like any scared falling government, killing is taken as a measure to instigate fear in your subjects. It can work, and it has worked for so long a time that Museveni has managed to stay for over 3 decades. But as we know that killing or death is not a punishment, but rather it's you just enforcing God's plan. It has now come to notice that death is no longer scaring us. Since we know that in the end, we have to die. But again, the more you do it, it leaves things. Remember, we are human beings. These are living souls you end. Don't just expect it to go unnoticed. Tetulina enjogera egamba nti omuntu omusezi aseera kiro abakutegeera emisana, abakutegeera bakutegeera misana, naye ng'oseera kiro. Naye toyinza kutta bantu n'osuubira nti kigenda kuggwa bugwi bwekyo. Tekiyinza kumala gagenda. Kyova olaba naawe mwenna nga ndaba. Lowooza nnyo ku bikolwa byo. Lowooza nnyo ku bigambo byo. Nga tonnaba kuvaayo kuminya bantu ku kiki kye bagenda kukuyita. Nga tonnaba nenya ku kye bagenda kukuyita, lowooza ku by'okoze ne ku by'oyogedde. Because in the end tukimanyi nti oluusi when it comes to time for being judged, you might end up regretting and blaming yourself. Mu bulamu bwange ngamba nnyo abantu nti teriyo kintu kisinga kuluma nga kwejjusa. Okwejjusa nti ogenda n'olowoozaamu n'onoonya okugira n'otunda sayidi ne sayidi omusango olaba gusinga ggwe. Ekyo kye kisinga okuluma. Era bino bye mulaba abasajja bano balwanyisa. Bino bye mulaba balwanyisa. Bwe bumu ku bubonero obw'enkukunala obubalaga nti we mwakwata watuufu. Abantu batidde. Signs of fear. Omanye eriyo abantu akugamba nti nze mpewo tempiseemu. Siwulira mpewo. Kasi kulaba nga yiyo olutiko. Kuno ekiba kisigadde kuba kwekaza. Naye olutiko, the goose pimples, kasita zijja ku mubiri. just omuntu oyo empewo emuyiseemu ye ne bwe yeekazanagaze kale siwulira mpewo nze namanyiira obudde buno kasitaayiwo olutiko kati noono Museveni bino byonna mulaba bakola killing people and appealing to the international community that you're not doing it wrongly. You know, you're so holy as you're killing people, innocent people, and unarmed people. Ekyo kiba kitegeeza otya kubanga jjukira okutta abantu obatta kubatiisa kati ate n'ogenda okulaba nga nakyo tekikoze then ekiddirira olina kwapiiringa kubanga kimanyi this international community can hold them accountable. Right now, twalabye the US demanding for an accountability, a probe in the electoral violence, the process of, and the murder, the arrest, and the kidnaps of political activists and other citizens, because there are people that are being kidnapped simply to make a statement, yet they have nothing to do with the politics. It is funny that there are some other people that are being kidnapped, yet they are not even involved. Others were also sympathizers of the government, but could not just come out and say it loud. They find themselves falling victims now of this. Mpawa Talikaba. Because Pandagali now is not discriminating. These people are just targeting the youth. You might be there, ngowagira, irango yagala, but in the end, you find yourself a victim of that circumstance. Ngogwambuvubuka. Nabagamba wano nti omuntu yenna ayina ng'oli mu myaka gya kivubuka. You are an enemy to the president and his presidency. Omuvubuka wenna oli mwana we oba oli kiki, you are an enemy naturally by age. Other groups that are enemies to Museveni should know that naturally. We are enemies of a man on issues that are not easily changeable. Because you hate me because I'm a Muslim, believe me, you can hate me to death before I denounce my religion. You hate me because I'm a Uganda, you'll hate me because I can't change to become a Mucholi. I'm a Uganda, not by choice. Those are issues and natural. So if you hate me for natural factors, then that makes me a natural enemy. And I believe that. And finally, I would like to call upon all our comrades that this struggle is for liberty. Although it's got stages, we need to put ourselves up to speed. We need to know what to achieve in a stage and proceed to the next level. to settle for liberty, nothing else, nothing similar or equal to. All we want is to liberate our country. We need to stay focused on that matter. It is our national obligation and natural duty to our country. I know right now, majority of our comrades are only waiting to go to parliament, others to the councils in which they were elected. But remember, all those councils have been there. All those, the parliament has been here for years. It has failed to produce anything positive for the country. But at least we've seen what a revolution can win our country. It was through a revolution that we won our independence in 1962. Again, we saw a revolution overthrow governments in Uganda. First one in 71, then another one in 79, another one came in 86, and finally, here we are in 2001. The most important driving force of a revolution is determination and willingness to go up to the goal, the finishing line. And the most destructive factor is the uncertainty of the key players in a revolution, of not knowing what to settle for, or not sticking to their initial goal. Because if you change in attitude and you start losing focus, believe me, that will fail a revolution. You should remember that we only came in to liberate Uganda, and we know the impact. Comrades that have gone into parliament. Before you were elected to parliament, remember, it was amongst the burden that we were serving a very big budget, whose budget included the many members of parliament who were around 427 that were not productive to the country, but rather a burden when it came to sanitation. Here you are with a revolution, and you seem to be settling for the position that you won, which is not even reducing the amount of burden we were fighting against, but rather increasing it. Think twice on that issue. As we rose, it was 127 members of parliament. Right now, it is 500 plus. Think twice. Think wisely. And remember, if we are to liberate our country, we need to stay focused. If we want to liberate our country, we need to stay focused. These are just the simple issues that we just overlook, especially when we appear to be gaining some comfortability in an uncomfortable zone. I always tell you that Museveni is contagious and very tempting. They always say statements that might not look as that they will look as if they are not intended for you, but in actual sense, psychologically, they are targeting you. It was not by accident that a man that is always a man that came up with a statement saying that the government, the economy is crippled, and he was appealing to all Ugandans to give in a hand, which Ugandans have been out of work for months. That could come up with a statement like, we shall be giving you 300 millions each to purchase a vehicle. Where do you think that money is supposed to come from? Such things and other incentives are awaiting you so that you could get conned into the same issue that others, your predecessors, faced, because majority of them were chosen by the people when they were speaking the same language. It was up to when they entered parliament, when they came closer to Museveni, that they got contaminated and started acting as if they were, actually they picked up that arrogancy that you've always witnessed, a factor that has led many to fail. Don't you think that you're immune? The only way you can be saved is if you stay with us in a revolution and we go ahead and claim our victory, liberate our country, liberate ourselves. I'll always remind you that we've been key players in this revolution that has won you those seats that you're going for. You should always remember that we are still around. We are still Ugandans, and we shall fight for our liberty until we attain it. Also know that a revolution has got stages, and in each and every stage, you'll find foreign comrades, others that get overwhelmed by the pressure, those that get tempted to abort the mission. But still, the revolution does not retreat, neither does it surrender. The mere fact that there are some people that are still embracing it, it will continue until when the goal is attained. That should always be at the back of your head. that the very comrades that have fought so hard to bring you to power are the very comrades that are going to fight until Uganda is free. And when I turn to my fellow ordinary Ugandan citizens, especially those back at home, we need to pick up of unity in dealing with the problem because it is a universal problem. Let us stop thinking about ourselves individually. Let us not limit our brains on our families, but we need to embrace the fact of thinking about a country in general. It is your responsibility and your obligation to liberate a brother from Koboko. And anything that threatens human rights, the freedom of a brother anywhere, should be a threat to your freedom as well. It is high time that we start viewing Uganda as our motherland. And let's stop thinking about ourselves on an individual basis. Whatever happens must be our responsibility. When you are called upon to serve your nation, make sure that you do it wholeheartedly. All nations have been built by the struggle of their natives. You can only be independent if you learn to deal with your issues independently. We can only liberate Uganda if we start thinking as Ugandans. And if you do so, you cannot be conned by childish reasons. For people who are trying to undermine this revolution, they will give you statements like, it's those ones that are going to benefit, not you. Benefiting from a revolution does not necessarily mean that you have to go for a higher office. But even the freedom itself that is being denied is an achievement. The fear for your rights is also a threat that if one is a triumph that you can gain personally. So you have to think twice. This is our country. This is our struggle. and it is owned by us. Reason being, we all have equal stakes on our country. Thank you very much for those of you that have been here for all this long. My time is always awkward and inconveniencing, but I thank you so much for watching me, and I really appreciate those who share the message. May God reward you all. It is a mission, 2021 mission for liberty, that settles for nothing other than victory. Our message is always here. Echoto Reloaded and Echoto TV on our YouTube channel. Subscribe and invite people to do the same. It is our country. It is our obligation. People power, our power. For God and my country.